This is Raceline, brought to you by General Tire. Sooner or later, you'll own Generals. And by Revell, the world's model maker.
It's a beautiful late fall afternoon in Niagara Falls, New York, but it is definitely too cold to be racing outdoors. So we're here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to send things indoors. Good afternoon, I'm Catherine DeCourt, and welcome to the Can-Am 3/4 Midget Indoor Series in Niagara Falls, New York. This is the third series to be held indoors here in Niagara Falls, and while the racing speeds may not be quite as fast as they would be on a dirt track, there's no shortage of entertainment, action, and bumper-to-bumper competition. The drivers are up for it, and so are we. John Massingbird will be along with more detailed information, and now we send things over to Vic Rauter and Eric Thomas.
Hello everybody and welcome indoors to the Niagara Falls Convention Center and the 1991-92 Can-Am 3/4 Midget Indoor Racing Series. It'll go right through to the month of March. Before we begin,
yes,
congratulations to you, wife Janice, on the birth of little Caitlin.
Oh, thank you very much. I want to talk about some medical things too. Let's talk about the medicinal properties of this event. Now, before you start calling me Dr. Eric here, let me explain. Niagara Falls, New York, Niagara Falls, Ontario, one of the hottest racing centers in North America. You've got Merrittville Speedway, Ransomville Speedway, Gasport Speedway for the dirt modifieds, all kinds of paved ovals between here in Buffalo, Lancaster Speedway, Holland, just to mention two. Those seasons are long gone. Nothing happens from now, clear to the spring. So what happens? You've got withdrawal like you do, like I do. What that means is you can come in here indoors, leave the cold weather outside, and it's right here in front of you.
Oh, it provides a great racing fix through the winter months. And really what a fix it is. You know, you talk about these 3/4 midgets. They come in, they top, maybe 80 miles an hour down the stretches here in this 1/8 of a mile indoor track. People once described 3/4 midget racing as a contact sport, and it truly is.
To see what these little cars are all about, let's get some tech talk with John Massingbird.
Well, if you think we're dealing with an oversized toy or go-kart here, we're sadly mistaken. This is a very sophisticated race car. It's built by Roger Ribberty and driven by Arnie Bray. Let's take a look right up front. Starting, of course, with the radiator. It is a liquid-cooled engine. Hoses going back to the engine. A straight tube axle, very much like a dirt modified. Coil-over shock absorbers. Very, very nifty race car. Battery right in here for a recent innovation, which, of course, is self-starting. Most of these cars have to be push-started. Dealing right here, we've got a 750cc Suzuki engine. It puts out about 120 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. Up in Arnie Bray's office, it's pretty sparse, not a lot to it. Tin seats, 5-point seatbelt harness, and an inner tube over here to brace Arnie and soften the blow of the hard G-forces on the floor here tonight. Moving towards the back, we've got a quick change rear end that's offset, of course, over to the left-hand side. Between the 5-speed transmission and this quick change, there's about 200 gear selections they can make depending on the track. And right here, about a 3-gallon fuel cell. These cars are wickedly fast. They're going to be great to watch here tonight at Niagara.
Unlike racing facilities elsewhere where you usually find, a certain degree of banking and a permanent racing groove, the facility here at the Niagara Falls Convention Center has neither. When you come to race indoors here in Niagara, you have to build everything from scratch. Building the track begins with the concrete barriers, similar to the kind that you might see at street races in Toronto and Vancouver. Of course, there's also the crash fencing to protect the fans from any flying debris. However, it's the racing surface which is something very special. First, brake fluid is poured over the entire concrete area, about 1/8 of a mile. Then powdered rosin is sprinkled on top, and together they make the perfect racing brew. Then out come the push cars to make the initial runs to get the surface tacky. Then it's the TQ midgets themselves. And with every lap, with more heat and more rubber, well, now you have a racing groove.
And a nice and tacky racing groove it is, Vic Rauter. Let's have a look here. Starting lineup
Heat number 1 on the pole, the 4-time Ontario go-kart champion Norm Evershlog at a Newmarket, Ontario. And in row 3 on the inside, the men who won this event last year, Joe Payne Jr. out of Hawthorne, New Jersey. Rich Watkins and Joe Oside in row 4. John Strothers, Bing Metz in the final row.
They don't waste any time doing a little bumping as the green flag drops here, and it'll happen all very quickly.
Rick Sykes drops the green and turns him loose, and Evershlog will lead him around the first circuit. Doesn't take long, about 9 seconds to make one lap.
No, in fact, the fastest qualifier was Keith Dempster of Mississauga, who went at 9.35 as the yellow has come out.
We're going to have to slow him down. The arms come up to warn the drivers in behind. There's a slowdown and a blockage someplace. Joe Oside in car 81X out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. His brother Mike drives car 3X. We'll see him later on. Loops it up here in turn 1.
They have the tires down to mark the infield. I asked somebody earlier, you know, what was it like when they hit those tires? They do a lot of damage.
Have a look here. He boots it pretty good.
Oh. If you get a nosebleed or you're damaged, just phone us. We'll send the medical team over. Right in your face.
Did he ever? Green flag. Restart. Heat number 1, the Niagara Indoor Midget Challenge here at the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center. Part of a great crowd on hand here. Evershlog just picks up where he left off.
Great crowd, around 2,500 for this show, but by the time the third show comes around in March, it's full at about 4,500.
Field pulls around turn number 4.
And we've got a spin, number 55.
55, John Strothers out of Scarborough will bring out the yellow, the second of heat number 1, to slow it down again.
And of course, all these cars, most of them. Oh, we have another spin there. The number 33X, that's Bing Metz, Easton, Pennsylvania, his Polaris. As we saw with John earlier, only a couple have self-starting. So yeah, you got to either get the push truck out or your crew has to come out to get you going.
We were talking to Paul Mecca, the promoter of this event, and they are thinking very seriously, Vic, of installing self-starters in these machines to do away with the push vehicles. It would speed the show up quite a lot, I would think.
Well, it would speed it up, and I think it would also, a health aspect, you wouldn't have as much carbon monoxide with the push vehicles.
Rick Sykes will start it off all over again, and Strothers got real handling problems. Car got real wobbly in the infield. Coming around turn number 4, see the back end's getting loose here, taking a while. Now look at the 48 car, Rich Watkins. He moved up about 3 or 4 car positions.
See that? Some car went up and over the back. You're going to see that a lot, but the car actually catapulted, climbed up the rear of the other one, and there's your 48 making the pass and now spinning.
Rich Watkins from Grand Island. Here's a look at that wheel climb you're talking about, Vic.
Now watch the way it'll go up the back, actually climb up and over, and then get catapulted back.
Yeah, sparks are flying. That can get real treacherous at very high speeds, but the speeds here is a replay too. Joe Payne in the 20. Look at him thread the needle, getting around that spun car.
Rich Watkins was turned around. They went nose to nose and suddenly darted. Point out as well, Eric, eh? No mirrors. Nobody looks back.
Oh, no. You're going to get contact.
It's all peripheral vision here.
Absolutely. You're going to get that contact in a small, confined 1/8 mile oval with no mirrors and a flat track. You're bound to have contact.
So Evershlog is out and leading again here as we are in the first heat at the Niagara Falls Convention Center.
Joe Payne Jr., car 20, who won this event last year at the Convention Center, moving up to take second place here. But trying to chase down Norm Evershlog in car 36. There's a look at your leader.
The best place to be, of course, out in front, but it won't take very long for Evershlog to catch the back of the field.
Norm's crew doing a great job to get that car dialed in, Vic. This is a flat floor. They play basketball on this floor. There's no banking at all. You got to have the car working perfectly to get around here quick.
Yeah, of course, this is the home, if I'm not mistaken, Niagara Purple Eagles.
Yes, it is, and a number of other area schools compete here in hoop. But right now, it's midget cars, and Norm Evershlog collects checkers in heat number 1.
Evershlog in his Speedway Tires machine, the Honda, not far from Barrie Speedway. He finishes first. Joe Payne Jr., McIntosh, Smith, Hoffman, 1 through 5 in heat 1.
Now, you never want to appear overly melodramatic, but what I just did there may have saved a driver's life. These are nothing more than large blocks of common garden variety styrofoam, the same kind of styrofoam that you find wrapped around stereo components when you bring them home from the store. What we're doing here is ushering in what is now known as soft wall technology in motorsport safety, first brought into national prominence by Alex Friesen at Lancaster Speedway. Too many drivers are being hurt, too many cars being damaged, and in some cases drivers being killed because they were being abruptly stopped by concrete walls. These styrofoam cushions will simply cushion that impact. And because styrofoam has a springy, cushiony property, I think the drivers would rather hit this then hit this at 65 miles an hour like they travel here at the convention center.
All set for heat number 2 on the front row. Billy Coy at Glen Cove, New York. That's on Long Island. There's Bill Macy. Row number 2, his dad is the founder and president of this series. Row 3, Arnie Bray, the 88 Can-Am champion. Row 4, Dave Hawk from nearby Lancaster, Mel Robb, Bob Crawford, and Ron Smoker, the 91 Dirt Modified points champion at Merrittville Speedway.
Rick Sykes with the green flag, and we're underway, and quickly over the back and into the styrofoam barrier where you were just standing, the number 94. Trey Hoddock of Cheektowaga and his Suzuki and Eric. It looks like he may have done some suspension damage right up the right front there.
I tell you what, that flag meaning a complete restart to Rick Sykes with that signal for the rest of the field, but Trey Hoddock gets messed up right away, and this has got to be the most efficient wrecker tow truck. You know, like a wounded freezer, pick it up. It only weighs about 900 pounds. Stick it on top, roll him out of there. And look, there's all kinds of fluid underneath. He's broken an oil line or something here.
Trey Hoddock, call Allied because you're moving and you're out of here.
Yeah, there is fluid on the track here, so they're going to take a few moments just to clean this up. It is up near the barriers, but there's those styrofoam walls tested, albeit softly. They were tested there. Restart coming out from Rick Sykes, and here we go to turn him loose in heat number 2.
It's incredibly close, and you can see Charlie DeRosa, the number 4 car, taking the lead quickly, and looks like he has handling problems despite taking the lead.
Well, he's got that car leaning out towards the outside of the track. That's not what he wants, but so far it's okay. The veteran driver from West Seneca, just outside of Buffalo, and the 18 of Billy Coy out of Glen Cove, New York, gets into the tires. The yellow's going to come out again.
We talked earlier about those tires, how much damage they would do. I mean, they are big semi-tires. They're heavy, they're old, they're painted. They're dried out, and when you clip one, you really do a lot of damage.
Yeah, you do, and you got to be careful because these front ends of these cars are very nimble, but at the same time also a little bit on the fragile side. So Billy Coy gets pushed away. You see the triple expansion chambers off his 2-cycle power plant.
It really is something. If you let's not fool anyone. These are motorcycle engines, snowmobile engines for all intents and purposes, and they sound like it. They get that high-pitched whine in here.
The smaller cars, the 2-cycle cars, are more or less powered by snowmobile engines. Polaris seems to be the power plant of choice. Just as we get going with the green, we got to go yellow again. The 4-cycle cars, the larger ones, are powered by the motorcycle engines up to 1,000 cc's in maximum.
That's the number 93, Mel Rabb out of Eggertsville, New York, driving a Honda. Won, they say, a couple of times at Lancaster, a speedway champion there, not far from Buffalo.
Just south of Buffalo, down near the airport. So a restart here in heat number 2, and this one is off to a bit of a stutter start, Vic. Green flag, Rick Sykes will turn him loose, and Charlie DeRosa, car number 4, will lead him around off the restart.
Second place, Billy Macy from Williamsville, New York.
Charlie DeRosa leads him around. Turning laps 9 and change, pretty consistent with the qualifying. Now have a look at these two warriors out here. Bob Crawford in the 0 from Sutton West, Ontario. Jerry the Ironman Cribe out of Alden, New York, car 11. Look at the pounding he's taking on the back end. He's not trying to pass him, just wants to let him know he's there.
Look at this, knocking on the door. Hey, I'm back here.
No, he's trying to kick it in.
Yeah,
trying to kick
much.
it in.
Look at that. But the other thing is, let's not forget that he's also maybe playing games with him, saying, hey, I'm here, I'm putting pressure on you, I want to let you know that I'm here, and just in case you make a mistake, I'm going to be right there to take advantage.
Well, Crawford's kind of a crafty guy, a former Can-Am Rookie of the Year. He's not going to let that guy by very quickly. No, he's blocking him there, but he's really taking a pounding from the 11.
Hey, it looks like NASCAR racing.
Oh, open wheel, though. It's a bit treacherous. Checkered flag coming out for the veteran driver, Charlie DeRosa from West Seneca, the winner of heat number 2 here at the Convention Center.
Billy Macy from Williamsville, New York, in a Honda will finish second. It's Arnie Bray of Whitby, Ontario, in a Suzuki. The 88 Can-Am champion finishing third, followed by Crawford and Jerry Cry. How has the sport changed, John, in 25 years?
Well, the sport has basically changed in big-time racing with a lot of big-dollar sponsors, which is great for that part of the sport. For our part of the sport, with the small cars and limited funds, pretty much stayed the same. The cars are updated, but there's not any big sponsor dollars. We all try to get a little help wherever we can. But basically, we're just good fun racers is what we are. Not for a living, but just good fun.
John, you've been doing it now for 25 years. You tell me you do just basically the 3 winter races. What is it that keeps John Casey going?
Oh, I think just my love for it, that I've always loved midgets, had one since back in 1948. So I could never give up my midget racing. Just have to hang on.
It's just fun for you then.
It's just fun. Nothing like it.
John Casey from Depew, one of the sponsors of this series, and the first Can-Am points champ they ever crowned back in '67, Canada's centennial year.
Nice man. He and his wife are here with their vintage number 88. We'll get a look at it in this heat. Number 3. There you see him sitting more upright in the orange sweaters at the back of the pack. Didn't qualify too quickly, and he is at a disadvantage as the green flag drops.
One guy to watch, you're watching him right now, is Wayne Turnbull out of Paris, Ontario. He won this indoor meet at the Convention Center 2 winters ago in car number 31. And we've got people banging into each other. Blue Metz in car 65. His dad Bing was out here earlier on. This is Blue in car 65.
And Blue is in a bit of a Metz right there.
You haven't lost it, Vic.
Thank you.
White flag is coming up.
Some people wish I would.
Yes, I know that. All righty, the Richard Petty colored machine. The 43 of Mike Titeback from Little Falls, New Jersey on the restart. Little Falls just north of Newark in the Garden State.
Hey, it's interesting to see where some of these cars... a quick spin here now as they come around turn 2.
Andy McAreth from Etobicoke, Ontario. The 1991 Can-Am champion into the tires on the backstretch. Here's a look at it again. You're riding with him. Andy McAreth loops it around. Stalls the engine. See the throttle linkage going up and down.
And it quits on him, and so he'll have to get the push. But we were talking about people from New Jersey. There are people from Ontario, New York State, Florida, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and one driver from Indiana.
There is only one. That's Travis Wellpott in car number 15. Saw him out here earlier on. Restart. Heat 3. There's a look at Travis right now in car 15, all the way from Anderson, Indiana. But they're trying to catch this guy, Mike Titeback from New Jersey, car number 43.
And he has that very, very popular Polaris power.
Wayne Turnbull, car 31. He's into some trouble here with Travis in car 15, and that's going to bring in another yellow, Vic.
The 31 of Turnbull of Paris, Ontario with his Suzuki. Interesting, he won the 89 outdoor season and then went right inside and won the indoor championship, and that's never been done before.
Let's have a look at what it looks like to drive around this 1/8 mile oval here at the Convention Center on board of the Sony Revell Handycam with Etobicoke, Ontario's Andy McAreth.
And pay particular attention to the throttle linkage. When it's up like that, he's got his foot to the floor, and then it'll go down. Have a look.
You got to have a little bit of know-how and skill. There's just a lot of, you know what it's like? It's like calling a merry-go-round. You're in traffic all the time.
Got the battle for first and second.
Yeah, we do. Mike Titeback in the 43 and the 40 of Andy McAreth. 2 hard chargers in Can-Am TQ midget competition at the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center. He's going to run out of time, though. Titeback has got the flags on his side. There's the checkers as we talk about it. And Titeback will take the win in Heat 3.
Hey, full credit to McAreth, though, considering he had that spin to get back up for second place here in Heat 3.
Oh, these guys are going to be heard from a little later on in the A and the B main. Here's the way it wound up in Heat 3. Titeback, McAreth, Wellpott, Trindle, and Wayne Turnbull 1 through 5.
Of course, all these heat races are 10 laps.
Back from the Convention Center with Raceline in a moment. Welcome back to the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center. The Indoor Midget Challenge. Eric Thomas, Vic Rauter, John Massingbird, and Catherine DeCourt. Heat 4, Vic.
Dick Mahoney, Newmarket, Ontario, will start on the pole. Lou Ciccone Jr., Aspen, Pennsylvania. Mike Osyke, the 3X car, won the 85-86 championship Can-Am from Brooklyn, New York.
Dave McKnight looking at you as Rick Sykes will unfurl the green. And here we go, heat number 4. Dick Mahoney from Newmarket will lead him off.
You know, there's great respect in all kinds of racing drivers have for each other, but I think they have to have so much respect for each other's ability here.
Especially at a track this small. If somebody messes up big time, they're all into it before you can blink. Liquid, Lou Ciccone, car 31X, putting the heat on the 25 of Dick Mahoney. He wants that lead. Here goes the pass on the inside, and Lou Ciccone will take over the lead in a gorgeous maneuver in the corner.
Lou Ciccone from Glen Falls, Pennsylvania in his Polaris. They call him Liquid Lou, and Liquid Lou slips in front.
Here's a look from the rear of Keith Dempster's number 5. Keith is the 87 Can-Am champ. And you're looking at the 85-86 indoor champion, Mike Osite, out of Brooklyn, New York, in the 3X.
Interesting now to see if Osite will come up and give Dempster a little bit of a tap.
Yeah.
Come on, a little bit more. You're getting close enough. Boy, but look at how they have to fight that wheel coming out of those corners.
Now you see the difference in the way Charlie DeRosa's number 4 was set up, Vic, and the 31X of Lou Ciccone. He gets really loose in the back end. He's got that car set up so he almost skids that back end around where Charlie drove it around. Just two different styles, two different ways to set up the cars to get around here.
Yeah, very much the looser rear end, more like if you were on a dirt track.
Exactly. Have a look, Dave McKnight in the 06. He is the 84 Can-Am champion out of Brampton, Ontario. There's a look at him right now, trying to hold off some of the competitors.
The white flag out from your starter, Rick Sykes. We're into the final lap here. Doesn't take long, under 10 seconds.
Lou Ciccone from Aston, Pennsylvania. Liquid Lou, as they call him, will pick up the win in Heat 4.
And very nicely done as he made the pass coming out of turn 4, and he held on to win it.
This guy's been racing since the age of 10.
In fact, it's right through the whole Ciccone family, followed by Mahoney, Zrinski, McKnight, and Dempster.
Of course, safety is a prime concern in all motorsports. We know that the drivers wear fire suits and helmets, but something unique to this form of open-wheel racing is an arm restraint system to keep the driver's arms inside the car just in case it goes end over end. Dave McKnight of Brampton has his. Actually, he wears them on the wrist, and then the whole system is anchored to his lap harness. So, just in case Dave, hopefully not, goes end over end, the arms don't go outside the car, and Dave, thankfully, is safe.
Alrighty, here's a nice tight little 6-car field in the consolation. The Metz family in row 2. Vic Blue, the son on the outside in the 65, and Father Bing in the 33X on the outside of row 2.
8 laps, the top 4 finishers will make it through to the 50-lap main feature.
Rich Watkins, known as Little Taz out of Grand Island, New York, halfway between Niagara Falls, New York, where we are, and Buffalo, down south. He'll take the point here on the start, coming around turns 3 and 4. Rick Sykes with the green, and here we go.
Interesting to see if Metz, father and son, maybe gang up on some people if they get out in front, maybe do a little blocking.
Oh, the Taz got really loose there on the back stretch.
He looked like the devil right there doing a spin.
Consolation, last chance, and we got some big problems.
Hold on.
Bing Metz with the old hell driver style, up on 2 wheels in turns 3 and 4. We got to have a look at that again. Wind it back.
I thought it was back at the old C&E shows down during the exhibition.
Oh, tough break here for Dave Hawk at Lancaster, New York. He's got some major front-end damage. He also campaigns super stocks at Lancaster Speedway as well. A lot of these drivers compete on other forms of cars, too.
And there again, the dolly underneath, and away he goes. Now, have a look at this.
This is cuckoo. Have a look at this. Alrighty, this is Trey Hoddick in the 94, the red car, and he hops over top of Bing Metz's wheels, almost gets the wheel into the cockpit, pushes Bing up on 2 wheels, and around he goes for 10 points.
Look at this now. Can you imagine this?
He's saying, am I going over? I hope not. I'll spill my coffee. Green flag restart. That is a wild ride. Great stuff. The fans love that, and of course he's all right.
And well, that's the thing too we should point out about these 3/4 midgets. They do take some spectacular spills. You'll see them go over, but very rarely, and we stress very rarely, is anybody hurt.
And as we usually point out, the reason why is car construction. Stringent rules, full roll cages in these things. They weigh 900 pounds. They get up on top. There's no problem, no damage, and you say, very rare anybody gets hurt. But right now, in control, no problems. Rich Watkins from Grand Island, checkered flag, and he'll pick up the win in the consolation.
Rich Watkins with a pretty easy time. Top 4 will advance to the B main feature, as well as the Metz family. And in between, Rudy Boddicker. Hoddick and Dave Hawk won't make it.
Just the top 4, as you mentioned.
Well, as Vic alluded to earlier, we've got a flat track to deal with here at Niagara Falls. How do drivers and pit crews get their cars around the corners faster? Well, they do it with what they call tire stagger. If you take a look at the left side or the inside tire, it's very much smaller as compared to the larger outside rear. Now, how does that work and how does it get the car around the corners faster? Let's demonstrate simply with a pop cup. This represents the inside left tire, of course, and then the larger outside right-hand side diameter. If you just simply roll it, the cup turns on its own. And that's exactly how these race cars get around the corner. They drive the car right off this right rear tire, and that's the one that actually pushes it around the corners.
Pretty simple explanation, but it works.
It sure does. The best way to demonstrate it. Keith Dempster, 87 Can-Am champ on the pole, the front row in the B feature. Look here, rows 4 through 6. Joe Osite in the 81X, Mel Robb beside him. There's John Casey in that gorgeous vintage TQ midget car. Rows 7 and 8. There's Rudy Boddicker and Bing Metz.
And point out as well that Osite makes the trip from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Mike, his brother, is from Brooklyn. And Joe is from Fort Lauderdale. They store the cars up here in the off-season. Just drive them here. Green flag, and away we go. The B-Main is underway at the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center on Raceline on TSN.
25 laps in this B-Main.
16 cars take the green. And we've got a problem already in turn number 1, facing the wrong way. And again, Jerry, the Ironman Crime out of Alden, New York, he's facing the wrong way.
You can see some of the safety officials saying, hey, guys, slow it down, because things happen so quickly, you know, you maybe don't even get a chance to let off the accelerator.
Jerry Cribe, boy, it's a good thing they're under yellow. Let's have a look at it here, how he got out of shape in turn 1, Vic.
What a great camera this tire cam is.
Caught the whole thing, just spun it, got a little tap from behind, and around he went.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to go round again. Should point out, great analogy. Somebody said, you don't want to talk about the track and how sticky it is. They're going to have a restart. Think about Coca-Cola under theater seats when you go to a movie and how tacky it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way this track is.
Yeah, absolutely great comparison. Green flag from Rick Sykes. Here we go. Man, are they bunched up in the corners. Early on in the B-Main. Look at the 73 of Jack Bertling out of New Jersey gobble up cars here. He is on the move towards the front.
Jack Bertling in his 73 moves up to 3rd spot. They tell us that he's selling the car. The for sale sign is out, so if you like Bertling's car, give him a call.
I'll tell you, someone else is doing a nice job out here is Dan May out of Mount Hope near Hamilton in the yellow 03. He is really moving up towards the front.
Interesting thing I like about these three-quarter midgets, Eric, is they all have a little bit of a different look. They're all, for the most part, home-built. So you see some are with the bigger wheels, smaller wheels. You see some of them that look like the old Offenhausers that you saw at Indy. You see some maybe that are a little aerodynamically built like this 31, but that's basically all hand-forged, and he built it in his garage.
Exactly, and they're small enough you can do that basically with shade tree budgets. And the 31 you're talking about is the guy who won this event 2 winters ago, Wayne Turnbull out of Paris, Ontario. The 56 is trying to move up and gain some ground. Joe Hoffman out of nearby Tonawanda, New York. Still relatively early in the B-Main. In the indoor Can-Am Midget Challenge at the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center. Hoffman appears to be losing a little bit of power here. He's going to bunch up the field in behind him here, Vic.
Exactly, and as soon as they do that, as soon as they get that close, you might expect something to happen here. A little punching from behind. That 03 Dan May from Mount Hope putting his nose up and under, and see the difference in the two cars right there.
Joe Osite, the recipient of some of those punches from behind in Dan May's 03. There he is there in the 81X. Turns 3 and 4. Down the front straightaway they go.
It continues to be the 31 of Wayne Turnbull out of Paris, Ontario, leading comfortably.
Blue Met 65, he gets all tangled up. And the 6 car, Rudy Boddicker out of Totowa, New Jersey, is faced the wrong way. The car is graphicked, car 56, Vic, but you go by the scoring number on the top of the roll cage, and that is car 6, Rudy Boddicker.
Rudy Boddicker, who is a Rotax-powered machine.
And again, these cars weighing maximum 900 pounds. Not hard for one guy to push these away at all, really.
It is a great facility, the Niagara Falls Convention Center, and as soon as the midgets are out, Kenny Rogers comes in to do a concert.
Well, to take the rosin up, he's going to trip on his way to the stage. Wayne Turnbull in the 31 out of Paris, Ontario. This guy knows how to get around here. He's won this meet before. All righty, coming around. Picking up those RPMs, and on the restart, it's Wayne Turnbull once again from Paris, Ontario. Car number 31. John Casey, who you talked to, Vic, in the 88, slowing down. And we've got other problems here. Rudy Boddicker and Joe Osite in the 81X. There's that wheel hop again.
Yeah, exactly, but up and over, came down, no yellow flag. And you're right, see Casey on the inside, not as quick. It's a vintage machine. It's a gorgeous machine. And he's taking that inside line, forcing the other cars to go outside. And in that way, they're getting tangled up.
That car, brand new, over a quarter of a century old, a gorgeous Trevis TQ midget. He bought it new.
Yeah, he did. That was in January of 1967. Then went out, won the first Can-Am Drivers' Championship. And when you look at him, we talked about the old Offies that you saw at Indianapolis, mid-50s, really into the early 60s before they went to the rear engine drive. That's the way his car looks.
Blue Metz out of Easton, PA. Same hometown as heavyweight boxing legend Larry Holmes, by the way. And Blue is doing a nice job here. He is slowly moving up in positions in behind the 93 of Mel Robb. Going to make the pass on the inside. He really cut that corner, and he almost tuned the tire down there.
Exactly. Talk about Larry Holmes. He just threw a nice left right there and went inside and moved in front. Lovely.
Wayne Turnbull, you are back with the leader. Car 31 out of Paris, Ontario. He's not beaten that car too severely, but it is getting around here quick. And he's got the fuel a little bit rich there. You see when he backs off the throttle, a little bit of fuel goes up into the collector and burns off with that nice, impressive flame.
And he went by the 3X of Mike Osite out of Brooklyn, the 85-86 champion, having all kinds of problems now.
So Wayne Turnbull just seems to, there he is again, just staying out of trouble and clicking off these laps here in the B main.
And you know something? You say that about auto racing all the time, trying to stay out of trouble. And it is a big factor here because you don't have an awful lot of room or time or laps to stay out of trouble, but he does.
Checkered flag for Wayne Turnbull. What is he, a funny car? Little flame out of the stack there. And Wayne Turnbull picks up the win in the B feature or the B main.
In his Suzuki from Paris, Ontario, Wayne Turnbull grabbed the lead, Eric, on the third lap past Joe Hoffman and never looked back.
No, he didn't. No doubt drawing in the former victory here at the Convention Center to pick up a win here in the B main. Big crowd on hand once again at the Convention Center.
A great run, Wayne Turnbull. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. The car worked perfect after I got a good, clean start.
Now, Wayne, it took the boys a little bit of time to get in the groove, a couple of loops and spins, but once it happened, you went for quite a number of good green flag laps. What's it going to be in the feature in the A main?
I think you'll see more of the same for the first 3 or 4 laps, likely. I don't want to say that because I'm going to be at the back, but I think we'll see a lot of banging and crashing for 3 or 4 laps, and usually then it'll clean up and away we go.
Good luck, Wayne Turnbull, the 25-year veteran.
Still to come, the A main from the Convention Center on Raceline in a moment.
In just a few moments, Lou Ciccone Jr. will be taking a seat in this very racer. In fact, you could probably say that Lou was raised in this seat. He's been racing since the tender age of 10. He's been surrounded by racing his whole life. In fact, his whole family is involved. And on today's Life in the Fast Lane, we'll find out just how involved. Lou wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but a wheel in one hand and a wrench in the other.
I started racing quarter midgets at the age of 10, and I progressed on through the years with the different ranks.
Why race midgets? Lou loves the fact that his reflexes are tuned up with these indoor races and feels midgets have more intense wheel-to-wheel competition than stocks. How does he gear up for an indoor race?
Well, it depends. Like today, what will be going through my mind is to make sure that the track stays tuned in with the car. A lot of times when racing indoors, the concrete gets cold and hot, and it changes the handling characteristics of the car. And I would be thinking about that. I would be thinking about where the starting position is and who's in front of me. And I would be thinking of, what possible moves I want to make on the first couple of laps, because they are normally in the indoor racing, they're most critical.
Lou's brother is strictly a racer. His dad is the mechanical advisor and chief troublemaker, but has seen his son go through some dangerous situations. Lou Jr. sees himself in Formula Atlantic cars in 5 years. We wish him luck. But as for Dad being a troublemaker, one only has to hang around the Ciccone camp for a few minutes and look out. I guess you could say I really had it in the bag. For Raceline, I'm Catherine DeCourt with Life in the Fast Lane.
I liked it. But then I would probably.
Alrighty, they are lined up along the front straightaway here. There's Andy McElrath on the 40. The A main, the main feature is only a few moments away. There's the 06 Dave McKnight out of Brampton, Ontario, getting all buckled in. There's those Army strengths that you talked about before, Vic.
Looks a lot like the old Le Mans start when they're lined up this way.
And here's the way they will line up for the A-Main. Dave McKnight, Brampton, Ontario, the 84 Can-Am champion. He's got the pole inside of row 1. Arnie Bray, the 88 Can-Am champion, also former Sportsman of the Year winner. Great guy on and off the track in car 26. Andy McAreth is the 1991 Can-Am champion. He's from Etobicoke. He's inside of row number 2. Here's our defending champion from Hawthorne, New Jersey, Joe Payne Jr., outside of row 2 in car 20. Bill Macy's dad, Harry, is the founder and president of the Can-Am Racing Club. He comes by his talents, quite honestly. And Dave McIntosh out of Toronto, outside row 3. He's quick indoors or outdoors, Vic.
As you take a look at the rest of the field, you see Mike Titeback. He was a winner in the third heat. Lou Ciccone Jr., of course, we just saw, and he was a winner. So was Norm Everschlag, and he'll start in row 7. Norm winning the first heat, 10 lap. And you'll go right down to Keith Dempster, who will start row 10. So we have a 20-car field here, and we're going to go 50 laps.
Keith Dempster talking to him before the race got going. He said, I've driven Oswego, I've driven Sandusky. This 1/8 mile Ford track at the convention center is the toughest oval he's ever had to drive on, and the green flag will turn it loose. And here we go for the A-Main, and they're banging and bumping already, Vic.
Well, exactly, and that's what Dempster thought would happen in this 50-lap feature, that they might just do a little jostle, a little pushing before they get themselves sorted out.
Dave McKnight, there's the pole sitter in the 06 at Brampton. There's Andy McAreth in car 40. Very early in the event, just trying to sort things out here.
And did you see McAreth's car there as he goes around the corner? That left front tire comes up. He actually 3 wheels it around.
Tricycling, they call it. Some guys have those front ends so stiff that that wheel is going to lift up. After all, they do steer it off that right front tire. The left one coming up, it looks a bit odd and unorthodox, but it doesn't really affect the way the car steers around the corner. So, have a look here. Andy McAreth, the 91 Can-Am points champion. In behind him, Dave McKnight. These two guys have won championships in Can-Am before, and they're battling for the front here at the convention center.
Well, you do. You have exactly the cream coming to the surface very quickly, as it were. These two are veterans of indoor racing, and a little bit of good sportsmanship there as that slower car, the back marker, gives the inside line to the front runners.
And you do that by instinct. We mentioned there are no mirrors on these cars, but they know the leaders are coming by. And the flagman, too, lets them know that the leaders are coming by and they should move over. There's Bill Macy out of Williamsville, New York in the 9, and the 90 of Dave McIntosh out of Toronto. They're trying to pick their way up through the field here.
Interesting, your two leaders, both with Suzukis.
Yellow flag is coming out. Car in trouble up here in turn 1. Norm Everschlag in the 36, Vic.
And it looks like he has given that tire barrier a good kiss, because it's a couple of feet where it should be. And the push vehicle has come out now. Everschlag will try to get back into it.
He's back and rolling. No damage there, Vic, and just takes up, there he is, the tail position on the field. White flag from Rick Sykes. Ready for the restart in the A-Main next time around. Keith Dempster, car number 5, the Sony Revell onboard bumper cam. Looking back at the 73 of Jack Bertling from Hopatchong, New Jersey. Now this is the number 6, Rudy Boddicker. And the green flag comes out, and away we go. Interesting way to catch the restart.
Yeah, interesting, because Rudy got the jump coming out of turn 4 to pick up a spot on Dempster.
See these two-cycle snowmobile engines. You see this smoke coming out of those triple expansion chambers exhaust configuration. Oh, a little bit of a tune there from Boddicker. They don't do it gently, and we've got a yellow. You saw the hand come up from Jack Bertling. We're going to slow it down again, Vic.
Exactly what Dempster thought would happen. We wouldn't get much racing for the first 5 or 6 laps.
Well, this is the big one, the final show. And Dave
McIntosh from Toronto in his Honda.
Well, he's not very happy. Always telling everyone that Can-Am's number 1 there. Yeah. He's not too happy with the contact, but he knows it's all part of the game. You're upset when it happens, but he cools up pretty quick. So the push vehicle will come in, and Dave McIntosh will come in from Toronto and rejoin the field at the tail at the back position.
Again, this is what we talked about. The push vehicle has to come out to get them started, and as you suggest, because it's getting a little cloudy here, you know, the exhaust fumes are starting to build up. They think that if we can put starters in these machines, we'll eliminate some of it. As you can see, it's getting a little gray, but it is very healthy. They've had it all inspected. The people have come in with their meters, and they said, nah, it's no problem.
And there was some concern about noise too, Vic, but any car running over 90 dB gets a muffler. That is mandatory for those cars that are that loud. Green flag, the restart.
And it is Andy McArath quickly out in front again. This time, oh, there it comes up. I was going to say, this time all four wheels down, but that left front just popped up.
Andy McArath comes from a rich family history in racing. Remember back to the 50s and 60s when they ran stock cars at the CNE, the exhibition in Toronto? Andy's dad, one of the original pioneers in that series.
Is that right?
So Andy just sort of picking up the family tradition and leading it here in the A-Main.
Boy, you see Dave McKnight really seems to lose something as they come out of the corners. You have a look at Norm Eberschlag trying to work his way back up through the field after his spin. He won the first heat. You see that flapping under the car right behind him? That's Rudy Boddicker. They call it a diaper. In effect, what it is, it's a cloth to prevent oil drips, grease drips falling from the car onto the track because, of course, here, you can have that outdoors, but you really can't have that indoors.
And I haven't seen the fluid on the track flag once here, so those diapers are doing the trick.
It continues to be Andy McArath and Dave McKnight Jr. 1-2.
Watching Bob Crawford in the 0 well back in the pack here. He's from Sutton West, and we are back with Andy McArath.
And you can see the race line Sony Handycam taped to the back roll cage of Andy McArath.
Giving us some great pictures. There's Dave McKnight in the 06. Staying with the leader, not letting him get out of sight at all. It's only a small place, but he's not going to let him outmaneuver.
Oh, he got somebody up over.
Bobby Smith out of Oswego, New York, subbing for driver-owner Ken Lorenz. Gets it up on the side on the front straightaway. Yellow comes out. He says, I think I'm okay, but get me out of here, will you?
Let's turn me right side up, fellas. Here we come.
Just takes a few able-bodied guys. Nice and gently down on the tires.
And if they can get him restarted, he just might be able to go again. But there you can see some of the drippings, oil, water maybe on the track. That's your current leaderboard here midway through this feature. McArath, Bray, Payne Jr., McIntosh, and Ciccone Jr.
Oh, Lou Ciccone doing a nice job in car 31X to move his way up through the field to enter that top pack and getting out of the car.
But a great example of what we talked about earlier about those arm restraints. You know, in effect, if he turns over, his left arm should have flopped out and could have been pinned. But there they were, the restraints holding them inside.
Bobby Smith obviously okay, and the fans from Oswego, and there's a lot of them here, happy about that. So a restart in the A-Main. The first real, what we might call small S serious calamity we've had in this.
Exactly. We've seen a couple of cars climb up the backs of others, go up and over. We saw the two-wheel dance. But nothing as serious as that.
Well, they're dancing now on the restart, and Andy McArath, man, is this guy dialed in.
He sure is, Eric, and he has been dialed in right from the start. He's led from the green flag.
One guy I've been watching and moving up, the guy who won this all last winter, Joe Payne Jr. out of Hawthorne, New Jersey in car 20, a strong third right now. But the way McArath is running, he's going to have to break or get into trouble somehow for these other guys to get him. He's running that flat and that quick.
Oh, look at that. The number 26, Arnie Bray, getting a little loose coming out of turn 4. And that's allowing Joe Payne Jr. to put a little heat on. And, of course, the thing is, while they battle, well, McArath just keeps pulling away.
I'm going to tell you something. That's the focus battle on the speedway right now. Arnie Bray in the 26, Joe Payne in the 20. Those guys want second place.
Travis Welpott of Anderson, Indiana, getting out of the way of McArath in his yellow 15. All those drivers wear neck braces. Huh? You notice that?
Well, you know the G-forces are going to pull those heads over. Remember Arnie Bray, John Massinger at the top of the show? Even had an inner tube on the side of the roll cage to try and keep his head in the upright position. Andy McArath, car 40 out of Etobicoke. Attached to Toronto. Still your leader. There he is, working his way through some of the back markers.
Yeah, but you see, if you're Joe Payne Jr., you need some help. Boy, did he do a nice job. In the middle of turns 1 and 2, he found the angle and scooted on through.
Well, Andy doing a nice job out here. There's Arnie Bray in the 26. And Norm Eberschlag has worked himself back up towards the top nicely as well from that earlier spin.
But Eberschlag right there getting held up by Bob Crawford, and that allowing Joe Payne Jr. to hold on to a second spot.
Double checkers are coming out. Your 1991 indoor champion in the A-Main, Andy McArath from Etobicoke, Toronto, if you like. We're back to talk with him on Raceline from the Falls in a moment.
Welcome back to Raceline. He looks tired, he looks happy, and I guess that is what it's all about. Andy McElrath from Etobicoke, you pulled off a tremendous event here. I mean, you sort of led the lion's share of the event, and you held off a field that really could have caught you at any given moment.
Well, it's up to them to pass me. I can run a good line and hold it tight, and we were running quick, so nobody had enough to get outside me, and that's what was important.
Andy, did you have a strategy coming in here to this weekend, or you just figured, let's just set the car up the best we can, just get out there and hope we can stay out of trouble? Because if you blink, you're into trouble on this track in a real hurry.
No, all you can do is come down here, and you can get the best car possible and go out and try and do a good job, and then you got to hope for the brakes. We had some lucky brakes in the heat where we could easily have been eliminated, and instead we came out and qualified well, and that's what's important down here. It's a little tighter, a little tougher to keep your car in one piece. So we're real happy to get some breaks, and I guess we earned them, but they still come a little tough sometimes.
This indoor racing is still somewhat of a novelty, but it is still nothing short of being competitive. I mean, outdoors, indoors, it all counts. It's all very tough, isn't it?
You're running against some of the best here, and all the other teams were trying their hardest, and nobody was out there giving it half an effort. So when we come out on top, it means we just came out a little bit quicker.
Congratulations, Andy. A magnificent show.
Thank you very much.
Andy McElrath, the winner of the Niagara Indoor Midget 50-lap A-Main.
Well, Joe Payne, a great 50 laps of racing. Congratulations on the second placing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wish there was another couple laps to go. I think we would have caught him.
Could you have got around him if you could have got up on his tail?
I tell you, the car was running good. It was really running good. It was hooked up. And
now,
after
seeing a couple of guys go on the roof and bend some cars out there, does that unnerve you at all?
Nah, no nerve at all. Nope. If you're nervous about it, you don't belong in a race car.
There you go. He knows no pain, shows no gain. There he goes.
All right, the official results from the A-Main. Andy McElrath, your winner. Joe Payne, who won it last year, settles for second. Lou Ciccone Jr., Keith Dempster, and Arnie Bray 1 through 5. Vic?
Norm Everschlag comes back after spinning to finish 6th. Disappointing day, though, for Dave McKnight, who finishes 12th.
Well, Liquid Lou is a wild 50-lap race out there. We got one on its roof and a couple of guys bent some cars, but obviously you had a good run tonight, third-place finish.
Yeah, I came from 11th. These guys are real tough to run with. All the cars are within a tenth of a second, and on a small track like this, it makes it very competitive. And if you don't have your stuff together, then you're not going to do good.
How do you like running indoors versus the outdoor bank tracks?
Well, I like the indoors a lot better. Makes you a better race car driver, and I think that you can maneuver your way in and out of traffic more, and I like that. It's more of a challenge than with the bank tracks. You're more like follow the leader, and you have a lot of time to pass down the straightaways. We're here, all the passing's through the corners and high.
Well, congratulations on your third-place finish.
Thank you very much.
All righty, time now for the Revell Model Performance Driver of the race, Keith Dempster, car number 5, the 87 Can-Am champion.
He was the fastest qualifier out of Mississauga, Ontario, driving that Suzuki. Started 20th, outside last row, worked his way up through the field, finished 4th. Congratulations.
Nice drive by Keith. All right, time now for the Performance Racing News, Canada's Motorsport Authority, and the trivia question. You've been waiting for this, Vic. Who's the only driver to win the Summer Can-Am TQ Midget title and then the Indoor Series, and all in the same season?
I mentioned it earlier. Were you listening? It is Wayne Turnbull.
Won the 89 Can-Am Championship and followed it up 89-90 in the Indoor Series.
Vic Rutter, I think we decided to do an indoor midget show was going to be an exciting kind of an attraction. I think Andy McElrath from Etobicoke heard what we were talking about. What a drive and what an evening.
It really was tremendous racing. First time I've ever seen them live. We'll come back again, hopefully. And an appropriate finish, I think, as well, Eric, when you consider that Andy was this year's outdoor champion, so he showed his stuff indoors for once, and that Joe Payne Jr., who finished second, was last year's indoor champion.
They'd like to spread it around. What a year we've had on Raceline. I've enjoyed it, Vic. Good working with you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Look forward, all things being equal, to maybe doing it with you again next year. Thanks a lot.
I have a good feeling about it.
Catherine?
Thanks, Eric. Vic, yes, the 1991 race season has come to a close. Like all good things, it must end. And I hope you've enjoyed the wide variety of motorsports that Raceline has brought to you this summer. Oh, the highlights have been so many. The exciting winning moments and the memorable non-winning moments. And the weather gods, like to thank them for keeping most of our race weekends sunny and bright. But most of all, like to thank you, the fans, for making Raceline part of your summer sports schedule. Let's do it again next year. I'm Catherine DeCourt, and so long. See you in 1992. Racing radio supplied by Midland Canada Limited with technical support by New Venture Communications, London, Ontario. All in-car and wall cameras supplied by Sony Canada, the makers of the Sony Handycam.
While in Niagara Falls, the staff and crew of Raceline stay at the Radisson Hotel in Niagara Falls, New York.
Raceline has been brought to you by General Tire. Sooner or later, you'll own Generals. And by Revell, the world's model maker.
Questions about Raceline? Why don't you drop us a line at Box 551, Caledonia, Ontario, NOA 1AO, or give us a ring at 765-0170.